Sometimes the deepest loss is the greatest setup for divine elevation. Do not misinterpret your suffering. What looks like defeat in the physical realm is often God's way of clearing space for something greater. God doesn't take without purpose. God doesn't subtract without intention. When the storm hits, it is not always to destroy you. It is to expose what cannot go with you into your next season. When friends walk away, when opportunities fall apart, when you lose what you thought you couldn't live without, do not despair. That loss may be the greatest mercy you've ever received. That setback may be the exact path God is using to prepare you for more than you ever imagined. You may be looking around and asking, why me? Why did I have to go through this? Why did I lose what I prayed so hard for? But I say to you, sometimes God allows you to lose what you thought was everything so He can give you everything He truly intended for you. What you lost was not the blessing. What's coming is. God doesn't restore back to the way things were. God multiplies. God increases. God expands. And when He brings restoration, it is not just equal, it is greater. But you must recognize the signs. You must stay alert. Because when God is about to give you more than you lost, the enemy will increase the pressure. The spiritual warfare will intensify. The confusion will deepen. But that is your cue. It is evidence that breakthrough is close. Look around. What has fallen apart in your life? What has dried up? What doors have closed so violently it left you breathless? Those are signs that God is about to do something mighty. When God is about to restore, He first allows everything that is not built on His foundation to collapse. He removes the shaky structures. He tears down what was built on pride, on fear, on false confidence. He allows the hidden rot to surface so that you can no longer ignore it. And though it feels like punishment, it is mercy. It is love. It is preparation. Because God never blesses what is unstable. He builds upon strength. And if you've been through the fire, if you've been through the loss, then know this, you've been refined. There are things you prayed for in your past that God didn't give you, not because you weren't worthy, but because He was protecting you from small blessings that would limit your growth. You were thinking in inches, but God was preparing you for miles. You were asking for enough to survive, but God is about to give you enough to thrive. But He had to first break the idol of self-dependence. He had to shatter your limited vision so you could receive His unlimited provision. If you feel empty, that is good, because God cannot fill what is already full. He cannot pour new oil into an old wineskin. The loss created room for abundance. And let me tell you, when God is about to bless you, things will not make sense. People will distance themselves. The very ones you thought would celebrate you will fall silent. You will be surrounded by silence, confusion, and opposition. But do not be discouraged. This is your test. This is your proving ground. When God is about to open the floodgates of blessing, He first tests your endurance. He sees if you will still praise Him in the drought. He watches to see if you will still worship when nothing is going your way. Because what is coming is weighty, and God will not place His abundance into hands that cannot carry the responsibility. Some of you are in that waiting room of life. You've cried the prayers, you've endured the betrayal, you've stood alone while everyone else moved forward. But hear me, delay is not denial. God is never late. What He promised, He will fulfill. But He will not give you what you cannot handle. And if you feel like you've lost everything, then lift up your eyes, because God is about to give you more than you lost. Your tears were not in vain. Your prayers did not fall to the ground. Heaven has recorded every sacrifice, every heartbreak, every sleepless night, and the reward is coming. But it will come God's way, in God's time, for God's purpose. When you are about to receive more than you lost, God will begin to stir discomfort in places you used to find comfort. You'll no longer be satisfied with what once gave you joy. Old friendships will feel distant. Familiar routines will lose their flavor. Why? because God is making you uncomfortable in the old so you will not resist the new. He is calling you out. He is pulling you away from small thinking, from toxic environments, from patterns that limit His blessing. And though it may feel like loneliness, it is sacred separation. It is divine distancing. God is isolating you to elevate you. If your surroundings feel unfamiliar, if your heart feels restless, if your life feels like it's in transition but you can't see where it's going, rejoice. Because when God is about to give you more than you lost, He doesn't just change your situation. He changes you. He upgrades your thinking. He purifies your motives. He stretches your faith. Because what He's about to give you requires a different version of you. You can't walk into the next blessing with the same mindset that lost the last one. You must grow. You must transform. And that transformation often comes through fire. Do not despise the fire. The fire is not there to destroy you. It is there to reveal what is eternal. When you pass through the fire of loss, the fire of rejection, the fire of delay, you will come out refined, not ruined. You will come out stronger, not weaker. You will come out wiser, not bitter, because God uses what was meant to harm you to elevate you. That is how He operates. That is His way. He allows the enemy to play his part, only to reverse the weapon and turn it into a testimony. What was meant to bury you will be the very platform God uses to bless you. There are some watching this right now. You feel forgotten. You feel invisible. You've watched others be blessed while you remain stuck. But let me remind you, sometimes God hides you before He promotes you. Sometimes the greatest favor is not being seen, because God is doing a private work in you that will lead to a public reward. Do not rush His process. Do not resent His timing, because when the blessing comes, it will come in such a way that no man can take credit for it. Only God. Only God will get the glory for what is about to take place in your life. And when the blessing arrives, you'll recognize it. It will carry peace, not confusion. It will bring alignment, not chaos. It will multiply, not drain. And it will match the pain you went through. For every tear, God will pour out joy. For every closed door, He will open one no man can shut. For every betrayal, He will send divine connections. For every year the locusts have eaten, He will restore. That is the nature of God. He doesn't just repair, He renews. He doesn't just repair, He renews. He doesn't just replace, He multiplies. Some of you have been clinging to memories of what you lost. But hear this, what's ahead of you is greater than what's behind you. Let go of the ashes. Let go of the bitterness. Let go of the regret. The loss was painful, but the promise is powerful. The loss was real, but the reward will be greater. God is not done with you. Your story is not over. In fact, the next chapter is about to begin, and it will be written in bold, undeniable favor. If you can sense the shifting, if your spirit feels the trembling of change, don't be afraid. You're not crazy. You're not alone. You are standing at the edge of something divine. You're closer than you think. Don't give up. Don't stop believing. Don't settle for comfort when God is calling you into abundance. Because when He gives more than enough. And when He restores, He exceeds expectation. What's coming will make sense of everything that didn't. What's coming will silence every voice that doubted you. What's coming will prove that God was with you all along. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are being positioned. God is aligning the right people, the right opportunities, the right moments. And when it all collides, you'll look back and say, now I understand why I had to go through the fire. Now I understand why I had to be alone. Now I understand why I had to lose what I thought I couldn't live without. Because if you had not gone through the valley, you wouldn't appreciate the mountaintop. If you hadn't tasted the bitterness of loss, you wouldn't savor the sweetness of restoration. When everything is stripped away, when the people you trusted have walked out, when the doors you prayed would open slam shut, when your strength is dried up and your heart is shattered in silence. Listen closely. because this is the sound of God preparing to give you more than you lost. This is not the end, my friend. This is the beginning of divine restoration. This is the threshold of a blessing that is far greater than the pain you endured. And if you can open your spiritual eyes, you will begin to see the signs that God is about to repay you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Sometimes the deepest loss is the greatest setup for divine elevation. Do not misinterpret your suffering. What looks like defeat in the physical realm is often God's way of clearing space for something greater. God doesn't take without purpose. God doesn't subtract without intention. When the storm hits, it is not always to destroy you. It is to expose what cannot go with you into your next season. When friends walk away, when opportunities fall apart, when you lose what you thought you couldn't live without, do not despair. That loss may be the greatest mercy you've ever received. That setback may be the exact path God is using to prepare you for more than you ever imagined. You may be looking around and asking, why me? Why did I have to go through this? Why did I lose what I prayed so hard for? But I say to you, sometimes God allows you to lose what you thought was everything, the weapon, and turn it into a testimony. What was meant to bury you will be the very platform God uses to bless you. There are some watching this right now. You feel forgotten. You feel invisible. You've watched others be blessed while you remain stuck. But let me remind you, sometimes God hides you before He promotes you. Sometimes the greatest favor is not being seen because God is doing a private work in you that will lead to a public reward. Do not rush His process. Do not resent His timing, because when the blessing comes, it will come in such a way that no man can take credit for it. Only God will get the glory for what is about to take place in your life. And when the blessing arrives, you'll recognize it. It will carry peace, not confusion. It will bring alignment, not chaos. It will multiply, not drain. And it will match the pain you went through. For every tear, God will pour out joy. For every closed door, He will open one no man can shut. For every betrayal, He will send divine connections. For every year the locusts have eaten, He will restore. That is the nature of God. He doesn't just repair, He renews. He doesn't just replace, He multiplies. Some of you have been clinging to memories of what you lost. But hear this. What's ahead of you is greater than what's behind you. Let go of the ashes. Let go of the bitterness. Let go of the regret. The loss was painful, but the promise is powerful. The loss was real, but the reward will be greater. God is not done with you. Your story is not over. In fact, the next chapter is about to begin, and it will be written in bold, undeniable favor. If you can sense the shifting, if your spirit feels the trembling of change, don't be afraid. You're not crazy, you're not alone. You are standing at the edge of something divine. You're closer than you think. Don't give up. Don't stop believing. Don't settle for comfort when God is calling you into abundance. Because when He gives more than enough. And when He restores, He exceeds expectation. What's coming will make sense of everything that didn't. What's coming will silence every voice that doubted you. What's coming will prove that God was with you all along. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are being positioned. God is aligning the right people, the right opportunities, the right moments. And when it all collides, you'll look back and say, now I understand why I had to go through the fire. Now I understand why I had to be alone. Now I understand why I had to lose what I thought I couldn't live without. Because if you had not gone through the valley, you wouldn't appreciate the mountaintop. If you hadn't tasted the bitterness of loss, you wouldn't savor the sweetness of restoration. And now, hear this with every fiber of your soul. When God is about to give you more than you lost, the environment around you begins to shift. People will misread you. Some will question your silence, while others will resent your growth. But do not be distracted. Do not be pulled into battles God never asked you to fight. When God is preparing to elevate you, He will often separate you. This separation is sacred. It is strategic. It is not rejection. It is redirection. God removes noise from your life so you can better hear His voice. He allows the counterfeit to walk away so the authentic can find you. He closes doors not to punish you, but to protect the miracle that is coming. You may not feel strong right now. You may feel bruised, tired, and stretched beyond what you can bear. But listen, the presence of pain does not mean the absence of God. Sometimes the pain is proof that God is working on the deepest levels of your life. He is breaking cycles. He is disrupting generational patterns. He is rebuilding you from the inside out. And yes, it hurts. But it is the pain of birth, not death. You are not being buried, you are being planted. And what is planted in tears will rise in triumph. What is hidden in the soil will emerge in glory. When God is about to give you more than you lost, He gives you a new level of clarity. Your spirit becomes more sensitive to His direction. You begin to discern what is for you and what is not. You stop chasing what drains you and start guarding what feeds you. You stop explaining yourself to people who were never meant to understand your purpose. That's because divine restoration comes with divine wisdom, and with wisdom comes discernment, and with discernment comes peace. That inner peace, quiet, unshakable, is the signal that you are aligned with God's will. There's a holy tension that comes before breakthrough, the space where everything seems to pause, where nothing moves, where prayers feel unanswered. But understand this, stillness is not stagnation. God does His most profound work in the stillness. He is not in a hurry like people are. He is never rushed, never confused, never out of control. When God prepares to give more than you lost, He takes His time because what He builds lasts. He is not working for temporary applause. He is writing eternal purpose. And the process you're in is bigger than you. It's about legacy. It's about destiny. It's about what will remain after you're gone. And when that time of restoration comes, it will not be subtle. It will not be quiet. God will move in such a way that it silences every critic, every doubt, every lingering fear. And in that moment, you will realize the reason for the delay. You will understand why He said, "Not yet," when you begged for right now. Because had He given it to you before, it would have overwhelmed you. It would have crushed you. But now your hands are stronger. Now your spirit is more disciplined. Now your character has been refined. And now you are ready to carry the more He has prepared for you. God is not limited by statistics. He is not bound by the timelines of man. He is not influenced by the opinions of those who cannot see what He sees in you. When people say it's over, God says, "I am just beginning." When they walk away, He steps in. When the doors close, He creates new ones. You serve the God who makes a way where there is no way, the God who causes rivers to flow in deserts, the God who brings light into darkness. And when He moves, nothing remains the same. You've been through seasons that almost broke you. You've endured disappointments that still echo in your memory. But here you are, still breathing, still standing, still hoping. That is not by accident. That is evidence that God's hand has been on you all along. Evidence that the promise is still alive. Evidence that restoration is not just a possibility. It is a certainty for those who remain faithful. Because God never forgets the cries of the faithful. He never overlooks the humility of the broken. He never ignores the prayer that is whispered in surrender. Sometimes the signs that God is about to give you more than you lost come through your own transformation. Your appetite for certain things changes. You begin to desire purpose over popularity, truth over convenience, wisdom over noise. This inner shift is a reflection of divine preparation, because God does not bless the version of you that is attached to the past. He blesses the version that has surrendered to His will. He anoints the one who says, even if I don't understand, I will still trust. Even if I can't see it, I will still believe. And hear me, what is coming is not random. It is not coincidental. It is strategic. God has been orchestrating your life behind the scenes, aligning details, connecting pieces, arranging people, positioning events. He has seen every moment of weakness and turned it into a point of strength. He has taken what was intended to destroy you and made it the very soil where your destiny will grow. And the day is coming when you will look back, not in pain, but in praise, not in fear, but in faith, not in regret, but in gratitude. You were not meant to stay in the valley. You were not created to live in the ashes. You are being called out of the wilderness and into the promise, but you must let go of what God has removed. Stop mourning the door He closed. Stop trying to revive what He has buried. If He allowed it to fall apart, it was not your foundation. If He allowed them to leave, they were not your covering. What God has for you is ahead, not behind. And the moment you turn your eyes forward, you will begin to see the signs, subtle, powerful signs that your restoration is near. You'll feel a strength that doesn't match your circumstances, a calmness that defies logic, a hope that rises in the face of delay. This is the supernatural working of God. This is the evidence that you are being carried by something greater than yourself. And this, my friend, is the sacred moment before the reward, the quiet before the miracle, the pause before the overflow. Hold steady. Anchor yourself in faith, because what is coming is not small. It is not partial. It is not temporary. It is full. It is multiplied. It is divine. God is about to give you more than you lost, not because of who you are, but because of who He is. Not because you earned it, but because He promised it. And when God makes a promise, heaven and earth may shake, but His word will never return void. So walk forward with confidence. Lift your head with expectation. Stand tall in the middle of the unknown, because the same God who allowed the loss is the God who holds the restoration. And His hands do not fail. His plans do not falter. His timing is always perfect. And I tell you with the fire of conviction, when God is preparing to give you more than you lost, He will strip away not just the external, but also the internal barriers within you. Your doubts, your fears, your old mindsets, they cannot enter the next level of your life. God does not elevate without purification. Before He expands your territory, He refines your identity. He removes every lie you believed about yourself. He removes the dependence on people, the pride that grew unnoticed, the ego that quietly poisoned your purpose. He doesn't just want to give you more. He wants to make sure you're someone who can carry more without being crushed by it. And understand this, divine increase is not simply about possessions or positions. It is about power. It is about the power of clarity, the power of contentment, the power of knowing who you are and who God is. Many pray for more, but what God desires is that your soul becomes rooted. Because what does it profit to gain abundance and lose yourself in the noise? So God, in His mercy, often slows down the blessing until your inner foundation is unshakable, until your joy is no longer dependent on applause, until your peace is not tied to outcomes, until your value is not determined by validation. That is when He gives you more, when you no longer need it to feel worthy. When God is about to reward you, He will often ask you to walk through places that look like the opposite of what you prayed for. You will be called to stand in faith in a season of famine. You will be asked to praise while surrounded by pressure. You will be commanded to believe even when all evidence points to delay. But this is not punishment. It is divine testing. Because reward that comes without the shaping of your soul will become your downfall. but reward that follows obedience becomes your testimony. When you choose to trust God despite how it looks, despite how it feels, despite what others say, that is the faith that moves mountains. Let me tell you, when God begins to restore, He doesn't ask for permission. He doesn't follow the rules of man. He doesn't need consensus. What God has declared over your life will come to pass, not by might, not by connections, not by force, but by His decree. And no amount of delay can cancel what God has already destined. No betrayal can block it. No hardship can destroy it. The Word of God stands above every situation, and when He commands the blessing, it will locate you. Even in the desert, even in exile, even in the lowest pit, the blessing will find you because it is attached to your name, not your location. There are moments when you will feel like the silence is too long, that the wait is too painful, that the prayers are bouncing off the ceiling, but God is not deaf. He is not distant. He is deeply involved in every detail of your life. And sometimes His silence is the space in which He watches your faith grow. It is in that silence that your roots dig deep. It is in that waiting that your heart is tested for loyalty. Will you worship when there is no sign of a blessing? Will you trust when the answer is not yet? That is where God separates the shallow from the surrendered. That is where God finds the vessel He can fill to overflow. And when the day of restoration comes, it will come suddenly, swiftly, like rain on dry land. What was barren will bloom. What was dormant will awaken. What was dormant will awaken. What was forgotten will rise with power. God will open doors that have been shut for years. He will resurrect dreams you buried in disappointment. He will shine light on the path you thought was closed forever. And in that moment, your spirit will testify that it was not your strength, not your wisdom, not your effort. It was God. It was always God. You may feel like you've missed your moment, like your chance came and went. But with God, there is no such thing as too late. He is the one who redeems time. He is the one who calls things that are not as though they were. And when He moves in your life, He will accelerate what took others decades. He will compress years into days. He will bring sudden favor that overrides every loss, every delay, every season of suffering. What you thought was wasted will be restored in a way that only God can do. Your past does not disqualify you. Your weakness does not disqualify you. Your mistakes do not disqualify you. In fact, it is often those who have been through the most fire that God chooses to bless the most deeply. Why? Because they know how to value what others take for granted. They carry humility. They walk with reverence. They give glory where it is due. And God looks for such hearts. Hearts that will not idolize the blessing, but will worship the one who gives it. Some of you are about to walk into a season that will not make sense to those around you. They will wonder how you were elevated so suddenly. They will ask how you recovered so quickly. They will marvel at how you found peace after such chaos. And you will smile not with pride, but with praise, because you know the cost, you know the crushing, you know the nights when all you had was faith, you know the fire, and now you will know the favor. Because when God restores, He does it in such a way that there is no doubt who deserves the glory. This is not the time to quit. This is not the time to shrink. This is the time to stretch your faith, to walk with boldness, to speak with conviction, to live with expectancy. Because when God is about to give you more than you lost, He will not whisper it. He will confirm it. You will see signs. You will feel the stirring. You will sense the shift. The wind of change will blow through your life, and everything that once seemed immovable will begin to shift at the sound of His voice. And listen now with the ears of your soul. When God is about to give you more than you lost, you will find yourself tested in your ability to let go. The blessing God wants to place in your hands cannot fit where fear still lives. There are moments when the old must be entirely dismantled so that the new can be born clean and strong. You cannot cling to past disappointments and expect future glory to manifest. God will often ask you to release the very thing you thought you needed to make room for what He knows will sustain you. And don't think it's strange when God removes certain people from your life. Sometimes subtraction is the first step to multiplication. When God begins to separate you from what is familiar, it is because He is elevating your path beyond what your current circle can handle. Not everyone can walk with you where you're going. Not everyone can handle the weight of what God is about to do through you. Do not mourn every goodbye. Some were orchestrated by the hand of God. He saw what you couldn't. He heard the conversations you didn't. He felt the intentions that were hidden. And in His mercy, He moved them out so He could move you forward. You see, divine preparation often comes wrapped in discomfort. It disguises itself in delay, in detours, in disruptions. But behind it all is the sovereign wisdom of God. He is not wasting your time. He is preparing your timeline. He is not ignoring your cry. He is tuning your heart. Because when you receive more than you lost, you must also be more than you were. You must be wiser. You must be stronger. You must be rooted in faith, not just emotion. You must be grounded in purpose, not popularity. When God begins to increase your territory, the attacks may increase too. Don't be alarmed. Resistance is a sign of movement. The enemy doesn't fight what poses no threat. So if you're under pressure, if your peace is being tested, if your mind feels under siege, know this: the enemy senses that something is being birthed through your obedience. But no opposition can overturn what God has ordained. No storm can wash away the foundation God has laid. No weapon formed against your destiny will prosper when your heart remains anchored in God. And while the world chases after recognition, after applause, after worldly elevation, God is looking for those who seek righteousness, those who seek His pleasure over people's approval, those who would rather be hidden in His presence than famous in the eyes of the crowd. These are the ones He trusts with overflow, because they will not use the blessing to boast, they will use it to build. They will not turn the miracle into a monument, they will turn it into a message of hope, of perseverance, of divine reward. The moment you stop depending on what you can see and start relying on what God has spoken, the shift begins. You are no longer limited by natural circumstances. You begin to operate in a different realm, a realm where faith is the currency and obedience is the path. And in this place, losses are not final. They are divine transactions. What was taken was making room for what would be eternal. What was delayed was increasing your capacity. What looked like rejection was actually redirection to something greater. And when that moment of increase arrives, it will not be subtle. God does not do small things when He is proving a point. Your restoration will be loud, undeniable, and overflowing. The very ones who thought you were finished will watch in awe as God raises you higher. Not so that you can say, "Look at me," but so you can say, "Look at me," but so you can say, "Look at me," but so you can say, "Look at what God has done." The blessing will not just lift you, it will bless those connected to you. It will break generational limits. It will birth something that